He gets a lot of stick, Bruno. A lot of stick from people, and some of it I get. I also think it's unfair. I think when I watch him play, I see a player that genuinely cares. There's a frustration. Yes, there's sometimes pettiness. Sometimes he's calling out his players. But if I was coming into that club, or if it's the manager, if he keeps his job, Eric Ten Hag, whoever comes in, he's the sort of player you'd be looking to build the team around. He's a player. He makes things happen. I see him try to order people around. But what the frustration comes from, and we'll look at some of the goals, I don't think people care as much as what he does. I see that as it's like an epidemic at the club where people don't really do enough. Do they really care? Do they go flying into tackles? He, on the other hand, does, and I think he sometimes gets himself into situations that he perhaps shouldn't. But I tell you what, he cares about the club, the team. He fought his way, he's got his team back into that game today. I know it's a penalty, but the first goal. But I just see a player that you can build a team around, and I don't see there's too many others right now that are showing that kind of appetite that he does.
What were you going to say on that, Izzy?
I was just going to ask you, why aren't others following his kind of lead? Because he does show it week in, week out. I totally agree with you. He often has a little bit of petulance, and I think the hangover from last season's defeat at Anfield, the way he behaved in that game, has hung over him. And I think he knows that. But you're right, he shows up every single week. But off the back of what you said, it's just interesting to wonder what you think about why are other players not...
yeah, it's a culture at the club, isn't it? I see players, I see Champions League, multiple Champions League winners, at times walking around the pitch looking like they don't care. And you can't have that.
So you think he is the type of character... We've gone a little bit off course here. Do you think he is the type of character that they'll be looking at? People like Sir Dave Brailsford, who's very much big on culture and building that winning environment, are going to set their stall out on him.
I get the culture thing, but I'm also big on good players that want to care, want to run around, want to do well for their team. And I think if you've got the right players in and around him, he's done it at Portugal, I get his frustration. It must drive him insane. We'll look at the second goal that they conceded from Cliver, and he's trying to get his team up the pitch. And he sees Casemiro there, and he's walking around and jogging. And Kobe Mainoo's got to be careful because he doesn't want to get dragged into that as well. I want to see more energy from him. It wasn't the Brentford game, which was a horror show. I mean, it's like the sequel today. It's never quite as bad, but you're still washing it through your hands. If you're a United fan, you're going, what is up with my team? We've got a stats guy. He's told me, and I had to ask him 5 times. They've had 200.
Was it because you're not listening, the first 4?
No, he's had 200. Man United have had 241 shots against them in the last 10 games. I said to him, are you sure that's not the whole season? He said, no, the last 10 games. How can that be? How can that be when the players that they've got, that they can concede that many opportunities and give up that many chances against it? We're not talking about brilliant teams, but no disrespect, we're talking about Bournemouth, we're talking about Brentford to this world. That is not good enough. And that's because people aren't doing their jobs.
Sorry, Ringo, I didn't mean it.
Yeah, Ringo knows.